401k. What's a budget?
How does a 401k run?
Yes, you get extra money.
Yeah.
That's totally important.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome to Tuesdays with Trey. I have my guest Lejon. He was a former PJ in the military. Thanks for joining me today, Lejon.
Awesome, Trey. Thank you for having me.
So, how did you get into the military?
So how I got into the military, out of high school, I didn't study well and I didn't necessarily apply myself. And so going to college wasn't an option for me. So the Air Force provided a great path out of high school and into a career.
When you're around my age, what did you want to do?
So I always wanted to jump out of airplanes. I always wanted to rock climb. I always wanted to do outdoor stuff. And that's what I dreamed about, and that's what I love doing. That's what I thought about when I was a kid.
So, at what age did you decide what you wanted to do?
So right after high school, I decided that I wanted to become an Air Force pararescueman. And when I went into the recruiter's office, this was before the internet, so in the mid 90s, and the Air Force recruiter had a pamphlet and it had pictures of what PJs did, and it showed individuals jumping out of planes. It showed them practicing medicine or saving people's lives. It showed them scuba diving. It showed them driving ATVs, and I was like, I want to do that.
So, at what age did you actually do what PJs do?
Yeah, good question. So I joined the Air Force right after high school when I was 18 years old, and I stayed in for a full 20 years, and then I retired out after 20 years, so right around 38.
What were your challenges when you were being a PJ?
That is a great question. So the biggest challenge initially for becoming a PJ is you have to go through what's called pararescue selection school. So selection school, what it does is they take out, or the program is set up that it removes people that don't have mental toughness. And so we started off with 200 people, or 200 grown men, and we ended up graduating 10 at the end of 10 weeks. So out of 200 people, only 10 were able to graduate and make it through the selection process. So 190 people either quit or didn't make the selection process. That was probably the hardest part of it, was the initial entry into it.
I'm guessing that you made one of those 10, you were one of those 10 people?
I was one of the 10 people. Yep, that's exactly right. So the selection consisted of running, push-ups, sit-ups, and some other underwater torture exercises, almost like controlled drowning. So the pool was probably one of the biggest mental challenges that was tough for guys to get past. It was just a belief that they could push themselves far beyond what they thought was possible.
What was some examples of your success?
Some of the examples of my success, well, my last deployment to Afghanistan in 2013 was probably one of the pinnacles of my career. I loved leading men on the battlefield, and we ended up flying over 75 missions in a combat theater. Was able to bring all my guys home with no injuries. We saved a bunch of people and had some really, really cool missions. So that was definitely the pinnacle of my career, and I loved it.
What was one of your favorite missions?
Great question. So one of my favorite missions on the civilian side was we had a group of pararescuemen that took off out of Moffett Field, and we flew 1,500 miles out into the open ocean in the Pacific. And it was a team of myself and two other PJs. We jumped from a C-130, which is a fixed-wing aircraft. We were 3,000 feet off of the ocean floor. Jumped out, deployed a canopy, and we floated down to a fishing boat to rescue an injured fisherman who was having a heart attack.
Wow.
How
awesome. Fast did you have to go? Because if someone was injured, you must have to fly really fast.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the C-130 flies right around 150 miles an hour, but it was a very long flight because of how long or how far the fishing boat was out. So it was probably an 8 or 9 hour flight. Yeah.
What did the fisherman do while you were in there?
So the boat, the individuals on the fishing boat, they continued to fish. And the individual who was having a heart attack was just kind of sitting on the side and not doing very well, with chest pain and shortness of breath and unable to fish.
I'm happy that you saved his life.
Me too. Thank you. Yeah, it was a good mission.
What was your favorite military combat mission?
Well, there's a bunch to think of, but my favorite rescue mission was we saved a Marine Corps infantryman who fell 50 feet into an open well. So think of like a South Al Helmand province in Afghanistan. There's a large flat open space, like an open desert. There's a Marine Corps patrol early morning on an early morning patrol. The last person in the lineup or in the stack fell into this open, was like a big open pit well. There's no signs, there's no notice around it. Fell with all of his gear 50 feet down, broke both of his legs, and had our team not been able to get onto the site quickly and set up a rope recovery system, he would have died. So the team executed amazingly with precision, and we were able to send a PJ on a rope down into the well. He was able to provide life-saving treatment and give the Marine some pain medication, and then the whole team hauled everybody back up on the rope. We packaged him back up into a stretcher, loaded him onto a helicopter, and got him to higher surgical care. Everything within an hour.
Wow.
So that's definitely the pinnacle combat rescue mission that I had.
What is a Marine? I forgot.
Yeah, Marine infantryman. So the DoD has different segments of it. I was in the Air Force. You also have the Army. There's the Navy, and under the Navy is the Marine Corps. So the Marine Corps is a portion of the Navy, and this particular Marine was an infantryman. So it means he was a ground combat fighter.
What's the difference of the Navy and the Army?
So the Navy it works on things in the ocean and on boats, on aircraft carriers, and they patrol and they secure our nation's waters, where the Army is more ground focused.
What was your most dangerous mission you went on?
Oh gosh, probably the well mission that I just discussed, and then I've been in a couple helicopter incidences as well. So helicopter crashes. We also did a couple other missions in Afghanistan where there was I'll not get into that. So we'll say that the well mission and some helicopter missions were probably the most dangerous.
What was one of the life lessons you learned from your successes or your defeats?
Yep. So I think the biggest thing that I could encourage folks, whether it's grown-ups or kids coming up, is to not listen to anybody that tells you what you can and you can't do, and to just believe in yourself, right? You're the only person that's going to be able to know yourself and to push yourself beyond what you think is imaginable. So listening to people that are telling you can't do something, or you're not good enough, or you're not worthy, is those are lies. Those are direct lies, and to not believe that, to not buy into that, and to just truly look inside yourself and believe in yourself and trust in yourself.
You must have pushed so many barriers to get where you are now.
Yep, I sure have. And then again, just really pushing beyond and believing in yourself and not listening to the lies of what people are telling you.
What would you want to tell a foster kid wanting to do kind of what you're doing?
Yeah, so any foster kid that wants to go, that's thinking about going into the service, I would say do enough research on each of the services. So there's the Army, there's the Navy and Marine Corps, and then there's the Air Force. There's also Space Force now too, which the Space Force was not around when I was in the service. Had it been, I think I would have been very passionate just about the technology and satellites. And biggest guidance is just to really follow your heart and find what you're interested in, and do that.
What's the most dangerous one out of the Navy, the Army, and all the others?
Oh, they all have their own dangers. However, I think anything that has to do with ground combat. So if you're an Army infantryman, if you're a Marine Corps infantryman, those are probably some of the most dangerous, just because of being on the ground and being in ground combat.
What is something the military teaches some individuals?
So the military taught me discipline it taught me responsibility, it taught me leadership, and it taught me how to truly believe in myself and know my own limitations and what I'm capable of. And then also, additionally, what I wish I would have thought of or been more aware of is just financial management and managing my own finances and investing early on in my military career.
Do you still work at the military, or are you doing something else?
Nope. I am retired now, happily retired, not going back to that at all, and I'm now in technology sales.
That's cool. Thanks for joining me today, Lejon.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of Tuesdays with Trey. Hope you can tune in next time.
What's a 401k? What's a budget? How does a 401k run?
Yes, you get extra money.
Yeah.
That's totally important.
Yeah.